Hellmaster EX. This award-winning system features the first single-engine joystick with digital electric steering and new autopilot capability. See Hellmaster EX in action at a Yamaha Outboard dealer or visit YamahaOutboards.com.
The fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
I'm Jim Hutchinson with the New Jersey, Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine. It is the first full week of November 2024. I'm sitting on my little center console. I say little, it's an Angler 204. So this brings me to a reminder. As of November 1st and all the way through May 1st, if you're on a boat less than 26 feet, like this one, underway in New Jersey waters, you're going to need one of these. Or perhaps you'll want to grab one of these, or one of those little fanny packs. But you have to be wearing a Coast Guard approved PFD, personal flotation device. It's state law. U.S. Coast Guard approved personal flotation device must be worn while underway on a vessel under 26 feet in length. So let's say you're on a Steiger 23 Miami. You're good if you're inside the cabin, but once you step out into the cockpit, or you go up on the bow while underway, one of those Coast Guard approved PFDs must be worn. I have one of those little fanny packs around someplace. Those are good as well, but they're going to come in handy for those of you running the inshore waters this week in search of blitz conditions. Brad Weil sent this video over to me over the weekend. A striper blitz on bunker at Shrewsbury Rocks. Now I expect we're going to see more of these types of conditions, especially in the upper half of the Garden State in the coming days, the immediate coming days, and then eventually folks down into Atlantic and Cape May counties, hopefully before the fall run is over, before the winter run starts. But if we look at the last few years, you folks down there in South Jersey have had those types of conditions popping up all the way into January. But let me keep the focus just for a second on the upper half of the Garden State. Yeah, you've got plenty of stripers in the inlets and back bays, a lot of resident fish or smaller fish in Atlantic and Cape May County. We've been talking about that for several years. But going into the upper half of the Garden State, as these fish are moving east to west or north to south, they combine down along the south shore of Long Island and at that apex where Long Island and New Jersey, the Jersey Shore meet. That's where we're getting some really good reports. I would say this, they're talking to the guys in New York this week. The south shore of Long Island is still loaded with stripers. So we still haven't seen the mass of fish to arrive just yet. But that said, we know live bait, plugging, dropping flutter spoons, or dragging Maja spoons has led to a number of personal bests in the northern half of New Jersey in recent days. But for many surfcasters, as we joked last week, it's a little Bob Euchre-ish, just a little bit outside. I've been joking about Euchreisms of late. And I did mention the importance last week of keeping a Hopkins or two, one of the longer Hopkins and a Hopkins shorty in the bag just for such an emergency when they're just a little bit farther out. I heard from an old high school buddy of mine this week, Jerry Lewandowski, in support of the Hopkins theory. He said his son Eric was helping him land this particular fish, a 41-incher, at Island Beach on Friday, this past Friday, the day after we did the Hopkins theory. Jerry said, "I've always kept a Hopkins with me and caught many different types of fish with them, of course. For distance casting, the Hopkins is a great idea. When those birds are just wheeling and diving just a bit outside a few yards past where your favorite pencil could get, here are a couple of more recommendations for you in those situations. The ocean-born flying pencil, if you see it on screen, yes, it has 2 L's in it. That's a Patrick Sebile creation under the Band of Anglers product line. But you also have the Yozori Hydro Monster Shot. That's a big plug. Both of these lures cast a country mile and may be key to getting to those distant fish when they're breaking outside. You know the Yozoris are striper tested. I know that for a fact too because Chris Bishop is in town again this week, probably trying out the latest Yozoris. This is Jimmy Leone from Tsunami with Chris Bishop from Yozori. The twitch baits are another good option. Both these two guys have been working on these lures for several years. You've got the Tsunami twitch baits, the 4 and 5 inch Tsunami Tidal Pro twitch bait, and also the Azuri Hydro twitch baits. They're easy to use, nice slow cast, but they're killer baits, especially when those peanut bunker, those cupcakes, and those adults are in tight. Bob Collins said he tried casting everything on Sunday morning: bucktails, avas, teasers, sand eel imitations, pencils, and he changed over to the SP Minnow from Daiwa. He told his buddy, listen, let's just take 5 more casts and move on down the road, drive someplace else, see if we can find fish. Third cast, Bob was tight. That's one thing that I do. If you've ever fished with me in the surf, you know it. If I say out loud, last cast, it matters. That's going to be my last cast. Unless I get a bump or I land a fish, then I zero it out. If you've heard me say it, you know it's true. Bucky D'Agostino must have been on last troll. He and his buddy Stanley Maslowski were out this week in search of bluefin. I guess they said last troll because they stopped fishing for the bluefin and went inshore, put out a chartreuse mojo, caught this 45-inch striper, caught and released. Well done, Bucky. Congratulations on your retirement. I would imagine I'm going to get more text messages on a daily basis. So yeah, we have those bluefin in the mix as well. In fact, I've heard more than a few reports in the last week or so of guys actually getting spooled while live lining for stripers around those bunker pods. We should expect that inshore mid-range tuna to continue well into December, especially with this mix of bunker and sand eels as well. Lots and lots of sand eels out along the beaches. The Fisherman Magazine's Jenni Ackerman, she was on the tuna grounds just the other day and heads into the kitchen this week to share her favorite marinade recipe. Honestly, Jenni, I consider tuna very much like filet mignon. No marinade will touch those at all. But Jenni's recipe does pack a little bit of a punch. You might want to give this a shot next time you find success on the tuna grounds.
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Open Boat. Today we are obviously in my kitchen and I want to show you guys just a quick and easy tuna marinade that I do. I haven't been out tuna fishing yet this season, but luckily for me, I have people that like me enough to give me some tuna that they caught, and I'm even lucky enough to have people that like me so much that they hand deliver homemade fresh tuna poke bowls right to my doorstep. So you can't beat that. But if you have leftover tuna or your buddy just dropped off some of his, I'm gonna show you a marinade option for the tuna that you have. So let's get right into it. Obviously, like, I washed my hands, but I'm gonna just put my hair up real quick and we're going to get right into making this marinade. So I have a bowl. This is not Paula Deen cooking here. This is Jenni eyeballing her recipe to make it work. So with the ingredients I have toasted sesame seed oil, soy sauce with the reduced sodium, I have cayenne pepper, and I have Mike's hot honey. So I'm going to start off with adding, you know, you can do a couple teaspoons and stuff, but really I just eyeball this stuff. And the biggest thing is I add this soy sauce last, because if you add too much soy, it like immediately overpowers everything. So do that last. So I'm gonna add some toasted sesame oil into my bowl. And like I said, like this, it's just, you're eyeballing it. So it's like I just put some into my bowl, and then I'm going to add a pinch of cayenne. I like mine spicier, so I do a decent covering. And then I'm going to add a dollop of hot honey. And this is a really good marinade. Like, it's convenient, like in the morning I'll make this, and then I'll let the tuna sit till about like maybe early dinner, maybe dinner time hours. And I just cook it real quick, like not even a minute on each side. And it turns out really nice. So that's a couple drops of that. And before I add the soy sauce, just get a fork and I'm gonna mix it up in here. Just to make sure the honey blends in with the other ingredients, because obviously that's a liquid and then you got honey, so you gotta mix it in. And already I know this is definitely not enough. So now I'm gonna add my soy, because then that's when you have like an equation here. You add this and you add soy, and then you go back to the beginning and add more. So I'm gonna add just a little bit of soy. It smells delicious. It's a very strong smell, especially early in the morning. It'll wake you up. So I'm gonna give it a little taste test here. Obviously I washed my hands, so I'm good. Yeah, it needs more sesame seed oil. So this is like the guessing game here. Well, not guessing, you're taste testing and figuring out what you need more of. And I'll add like a decent bit of toasted sesame oil, give it a mix, and see what it needs from there. So, see, I'm over here mixing. Give it another taste test. Needs more cayenne and hot honey. I like mine spicy, so you don't have to go crazy. You can literally use regular honey instead of hot honey, but I'm a spice girl, so I like my heat. And I'm almost out of hot honey too, so I'm gonna need more of that. Okay, mixed up. So it's a lot of adding, tasting, adding, mixing, tasting, seeing what works best. And it's cool because it's not like just a based off recipe that you're reading off of a sheet of paper. You're making it for how it works for you based on flavor choice. We're almost there. Needs just a little bit more soy, and then I think we're good to go. So I'm gonna add a decent bit of soy. Mix it up. And let's see. Taste it. Perfect. We did it. We're right there. You see a big smile on my face? We did it. So next step, I just take my tuna, and if you have it in your fridge in a couple of days, like you want to wrap it in a paper towel just so it kind of absorbs all that. And let's just appreciate this cut right here. Like that's gonna be delicious later. Very much so excited for that. I'm gonna get a couple steak pieces out of that. You're gonna transfer it into a fresh Ziploc bag. This is how I do it if you have your other methods of marinating, you know, whatever floats your boat, Cap. So we're going to transfer it to another Ziploc bag here. So it's in there. And then what I do from there is I will pour the contents of my mixing bowl into the Ziploc bag, fold it up, basically getting all the air out of it, really like folding it up so it sits nicely in with that marinade, and it'll marinate all around, and I'll keep it in the fridge for a couple hours. Like I said, I'll have it for dinner, but it's just a delicious dinner to have. You can, like what I do is I take sesame seeds, and after I take it out of the marinade, I cut it into steak pieces, and then I put sesame seeds on the edges, cook it for not even a minute on both sides, like really quick because I like it raw in the middle. And then I'll plate it over some basmati rice. That's my favorite. And then if I have extra marinade, I'll drizzle it on top. So usually before I pour all of it into the Ziploc, I'll reserve some in a little cup for later. So definitely give it a shot if you have some tuna laying around and you want to use it. Cook it up and enjoy it. And I'll see you guys on next week's Open Boat.
Now, until December 31st, Tsunami is giving away a Salt X waterproof backpack when you purchase a new Salt X2 reel. With its 19 seals and machined aluminum frame, the rugged Salt X2 can conquer any fishing condition you may face. Check out the QR code for all the details.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
Now, I mentioned those sand eels before, and I would encourage you to make sure that you have the sand eel imitations with you by beach or by boat. I'm talking about the Ava jigs, the Tsunami sand eel imitations, the teasers, because the bass that we're seeing right now, and the bluefin as well, it's a veritable buffet line. So you don't know if they're going to be standing over at the chafing dish that has the bunker, or the one with the sand eels. You'll want to prepare for both. I would tell you though, there have been times where the fish are breaking just a bit outside. The stripers are on the bunker schools, and I've taken out an Ava, and that flash of an Ava will take some fish out of blitzing bunker as well. Just remember, as you're encountering those bunker schools, snag and drop is dead. So if you're still snagging and live lining your striper, live lining those bunker from a weighted treble, you are committing a crime. Unless, of course, you're using a modified snatch rig, the likes of which you'll find right now at the Reel Seat in Brielle. Now, a lot of tackle shops up and down the Jersey Shore have been carrying these modified snag rigs. They actually use circle hooks to snag and present those bunker baits. So if the only way you feel you can catch a striped bass out of a bunker school is by snagging and dropping, make sure you're a legal eagle. Now, I bring that up, too, because we mentioned it in the last couple of weeks. The Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission recently decided that we're going to see some regulatory changes on striped bass coming in 2025. They're going to meet again in December. The word I have is December 16th. And what they're looking at is the mortality rate of catch and release stripers and the mortality rate of harvested stripers. So any way you shape it, there's going to be more mortality in striped bass, right? So anything that we can do to reduce the mortality rate on striped bass is going to be better for us through December and into 2025. Now, the November edition of the Fisherman magazine is out. There's plenty of striped bass content for you to read through. It's still on newsstands, and subscribers, you have it lying around the house someplace. But in about 2 weeks, the December edition will come out just in time for Black Friday shopping. It's our holiday gift guide. But in that December edition, I do a full write-up on the ASMFC decision and the ASMFC's Atlantic Striped Bass Management Board. So we're going to know through that article exactly why they're making this decision. I hope to be able to explain that, and then you know what's ahead of us coming up in December 16th, that whole management discussion. On the weather front, we'll switch gears here. If you're like me, believing that west is the best, then I imagine I'll see you on the beaches sometime today, Thursday, or Friday, because that's what it looks like. We've been in DEFCON 2 on the nuclear striper front for about 2 weeks now, maybe 3. I think we're moving into DEFCON 1 in the next 24 hours. I've been wrong before. I'm going to be wrong again, but hopefully on this one, I am not wrong. Offshore, Hudson to Baltimore Canyon, quite a few boats continue to sail east in the fall, all the way into December, for yellowfin tuna. You have a few headboat options out of Manasquan, Shark River, Barnegat, plenty of for-hire boats, the 6-packs, up and down the Jersey Shore, down into Lewis, Delaware as well. But you just have to be mindful this time of year on those narrow windows for getting safely offshore and back again. So while it doesn't look it does look good today, and it looks good on Sunday, in that time frame in between, I think you're going to need a bigger boat. Now, in our weekly reports this week, we have that digital weekly edition. It's out every week, 26 weeks a year. It's going to be out every week through the rest of November. South Jersey field editor Anthony Califano reports at thefisherman.com, quote, "Tog action continues to be nothing short of amazing from the Back Bay bridges and oceanfront jetties and seawalls. Bluefin tuna are just a couple of miles off of GE Inlet, and the deep water sea bass action with its 15 fish limit is simply on fire." Yeah, I'm a fall striper run addict. I can't get enough of it. But back here on a lot of the sod banks and some of the bridge structure and the canal, there's still a really good tog bite if you choose the weather windows appropriately. If you get out right now on that 1 fish bag limit, you can have at it with green crabs that are available in most of the tackle shops now. I'm hearing from the folks at the LBI Surf Fishing Classic. That tournament runs through December 8th, and you could still enter it any day. But they're awash. The leaderboard is awash in blackfish entries from the South Jetty at Barnegat Inlet. And I'm hearing great reports at Absecon Inlet as well, both the Brigantine and Atlantic City side, all the way down through Sea Isle and Cape May County. So those blackfish are there. But of course, Saturday the 16th, that's when we're going to go to that 5 fish bag limit. So you do have the 1 fish bag limit now, but all the way through another week, a little more than a week. But November 16th, that's when the boats are going to be really geared up for blackfish. Black sea bass, a slightly shorter run out of Ocean and Monmouth County, to get to the really good Cape black sea bass grounds a little farther as you go down south. You get into Cape May, you got to go a little bit deeper. But again, we are officially at a 15 fish per person bag limit right now as of November 1st, 12.5-inch size limit. It's a great time of year for putting a few more fish in the box, and it's also a great time of year for getting a fish onto the Dreamboat leaderboard. At last check, we've only got 4 entries, but there is one brand new entry in black sea bass right now, and also have a New Jersey subscriber on the board with Porgy. Let's go back into the cloud, our virtual studios, for a Dreamboat update.
What a week for comebacks. First the election and now the Dreamboat Fishing Challenge with only 3 weeks left. Kyle Kraus of Cutchogue, Long Island weighed in a sea bass of 4.75 pounds and a blackfish of 8.95 pounds, putting him first in both species and top of the leaderboard. He was in 3rd place last week, but now in 1st with 36 points. Scott Waterman drops to 2nd with 24 points, and Ahmed Solomon is in 3rd with 19 points. Other notable weigh-ins were New Jersey subscriber Jim Payer from Icona Harbor with a 2.4-pound scup, and Christopher Jones from Ridge, Long Island with a tog of 7.08 pounds. 3 weeks left, still plenty of time to enter your fish to win a Steiger craft powered by Yamaha and many other great prizes, but you must be a Fisherman subscriber to enter. For all the details on how to enter and the rules, visit thefisherman.com. There were no new entries in the Coastal Kayak Clash this week, so the standings remain the same. Todd Treones has 4 points, Bob Wagner has 9 points, and Justin Oser has 10 points. To be part of the Coastal Kayak Clash and for your chance to win the Old Town Sportsman PDL 120 fully outfitted by yakattack.com and other great prizes, you must be a Fisherman subscriber. For all the details on how to enter and rules, visit thefisherman.com.
We'll take a look at a few news headlines this week. I think there might have been an election earlier this week, I'm not sure. And some degenerate scoundrel has allegedly confused flipper with mahi-mahi. That and a few events to talk about in the coming days. But first, let's head west for a freshwater update in the region with my friend George Schauer, the Pocono Outdoors Guy.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. I am up and about and getting back into it and hopefully hitting the lake this weekend to wet a line with you guys. But things are much different. You know, we've had a drought over the past several weeks, far under our rain requirements for the area. And in fact, the Lehigh River locally here is running very low and slow. In fact, they had to draw Beltsfield down. They're still releasing the dam at Beltsfield to keep water levels up on the Lehigh River. Right now, Beltsfield's down probably around 3 feet or so, and you can really get to see some of that terrain that you don't normally see. So it's a good scouting opportunity if you guys fish a lake like Beltsfield and they start drawing down that water. Get out and look at some of those humps and stumps and see what's in those areas you can fish when that water levels come back up. It's a great opportunity. But other things, you know, guys are taking advantage of the situation. Trout has always been a good thing. My good friend Rich Bates had the perfect idea. Well, he jumped in his kayak. He was out on the upper Delaware River with some inline spinners and getting into some beautiful trout. That's always a great opportunity there. Same thing over in Jersey. Of course, we had Jen and his son Sean out over there throwing some spinners as well, getting some beautiful trout in New Jersey. Guys, there's lots of opportunities. Remember those toothy critters. Water temperatures are still in about the mid-50s or so, pretty much all around. So getting into those pike and muskie and walleye and crappie are still great opportunities this time of year. How about we see what the weather's like this weekend? Should be dry except for Sunday, but I think we can get some good fishing in. So drop me a line, tell me what you caught, but go get out and get on them. From Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors Guy.
On page 8 and 9 of the November edition, New Jersey, Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine, you'll see our news and calendar of events. Now tonight, Thursday, November 7th, I'll be down in Galloway for the New Jersey Marine Fisheries Council meeting. I expect part of the discussion will be about black sea bass. If you heard me talking about this before, we were looking at a 20% cutback in black sea bass. But the big news of late that I'm sure will be discussed in Galloway is that NOAA Fisheries has sided with the ASMFC over the Mid-Atlantic Council to go with status quo for black sea bass in 2025. What that means is rather than a 20% cutback, as recommended by the Mid-Atlantic Council, the ASMFC has said, no, we want status quo. And when the Mid-Atlantic Council meets again in December, there's a really good chance we're just going to get status quo regulations on sea bass. Honestly, we should have more access to black sea bass, not less. But I guess our compromise position is right in between. On Monday, as you'll see in the November edition of the Fisherman magazine, November 11th, the Jersey Coast Anglers Association is holding their annual Sports Person of the Year banquet. That's going to be at the Captain's Inn in Forked River. You can get all the details in the November edition of the Fisherman, but especially by going to jcaa.org. You can get your tickets there. Sad news to report, the passing of legendary fly tyer and New Jersey angling icon Bob Popovics. He died at the age of 75 due to injuries sustained back in September by a hit-and-run driver in Seaside Park. Pops was owner of Shady Rest Restaurant in Bayville. The Pop Flies inventor introduced silicone into the fly fishing world and revolutionized saltwater fly fishing forever. If you had the honor of speaking with Bob for even a couple of minutes, as I did many times, just sitting down and talking to Bob, you walked away beaming, happy, optimistic, thinking the world was a better place, because Bob Popovics made the world a better place. My condolences to his family and friends and to anybody who's ever met this great man. By now, we're going to stuff some fish sausages now. By now, you know the results of Tuesday's election, and you're either crying in your beer or you're drinking a toast with friends. We know how you folks in Pennsylvania are feeling this week. You're the ones that turned the election on its butt, right? But without getting into the political minutia, I just thought this was very interesting. A breakdown of New Jersey's statewide preference in Tuesday's presidential election compared to the 2021 gubernatorial race. Again, I just think this is very interesting. See, New Jersey's often thought of as a blue state, but it's always redder the closer you get to the water. The entire length of Jersey Shore from Sandy Hook down to Cape May, up around the bend on the Delaware, up into Salem, then you jump over Camden and Trenton, and you start again from New Hope all the way up to Stokes. You will see that those folks were voting for Trump and then a few years ago for Cettarelli. Whereas you have this blue swath running through the middle of the state from the Camden area through Trenton and up into Alpine in the northwest corner of New Jersey. That stretch of blue favored Trump, and then a few years ago, Murphy. I just thought it was interesting that Trump losing by 5% in the state of New Jersey, a single digit. The last time this happened was back in 2004 when G.W. Bush lost in New Jersey by only 6%. So that was just kind of really interesting to look at the Garden State map in that sense. Now, in terms of any immediate impact a Trump administration will have on anything fisheries related in the Garden State, let's go to Wednesday's headlines for a look at industrial offshore wind. Bump, bump, bump. Bloomberg says green energy stocks sink with Trump poised to win the election. Fortune magazine said Ørsted leads the wind energy sell-off. Apparently industrial wind investors are pulling out of Ørsted like immediately on Wednesday morning. And a fossil fuel industry trade bulletin, oilprice.com, leads with offshore wind faces potential Trump ban on day one. So yeah, the next 68 days are going to become very interesting to say the least. And my good buddies over there at Ørsted and their investors at Goldman Sachs, they can't be happy with the Wednesday trading numbers for that magical Danish company. I got a bunch of messages in the last several days about this. It's really kind of a morbid story, but it feels fishing related. It's disturbing. It's truly barbaric, to be perfectly honest. The carcass of a butchered dolphin was found washed up on the beaches of Allenhurst last week, prompting a federal investigation that's underway. NBC News reported earlier this week how the animal's flesh had been completely removed with clean cuts from a sharp instrument. Dude, you are sick. Get help. I do expect to see bunker washing up on the beaches in the coming days, as those telltale signs of a blitz should be littered across beaches of Ocean and Monmouth County, and hopefully Atlantic and Cape May County too. Bass on bunker and sand eels, but look for it. The next 24 hours are really going to get interesting with this offshore wind, but I'm hoping that the sustained blitz bite that we see this weekend will continue with us all the way through Thanksgiving, and hopefully the striper run continues again this year into next, as happened in previous years into subsequent years. Catch them up. I'll see you on the beach the next couple of days. I'll see you again next week right here at thefisherman.com.